Welcome to episode number 16 of Tuesday's Upset Forecast, powered by Bookmakers Bet.
Every Tuesday, we break down sharp betting angles across football, basketball, and other sports. Core 4 picks, 5 rapid-fire predictions, all in less than 30 minutes.
And of course, Bookmakers.bet is always here to provide you with the most trusted sports books. You can also follow our social media, our X account, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And for God's sake, hit us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. DimiCub here asks for it. And you know who else asks for it? Mr. Brad Thomas.
Yes. We had a pretty solid week, and some of the bets were quite sweaty, but it was funny because I came onto the show or got ready for the show, and I was like, man, I can't remember how the bets did. I just had this negative feeling that me personally, I did poorly or gave out bad picks, but I'm excited to recap this week compared to last.
You know what we should go first into? We should go into the Champions League.
Yes.
The round of 16, just like we did last week. It was exciting. We are on the road to Budapest. Finally. What I wanted to talk about, just like last week, first I want to get the Paris game out of the way. Chelsea weren't able to meet my expectations. I had very high expectations when I saw the draw for Chelsea vs PSG. I guess, all the hard work came from the first game when Jorgensen gifted the goals to the Parisians. After that, Chelsea had no option but to overload. They conceded 2 early goals, 2 goals in the first 15 minutes against PSG. Their world-class midfield missed Reece James in this game. Everything was decided very far early into the game. Also, I want to talk about Barcelona and how they almost gave us a heart attack. Me personally, I took them in the minus 1.25 Asian spread. They gave me a minor heart attack in the first half, where they were scoring, then conceding, scoring again, conceding back again. I think that penalty in the stoppage time is what decided the fixture. They showed too much superiority in the first 15 minutes of the second half, overpowered Newcastle, equaled the second best record for a high-scoring team in the Champions League playoffs. But remember, the first one was that Barcelona vs Bayern. It was a crazy game, that 8-2 in Camp Nou. I think they equalized Manchester United's record vs Roma, that 7-1, 2007. And I also want to talk about Sporting. I know Brad went through my notes and saw that I spent 45 minutes in the stationary bike, and I'll tell you the story behind that. That's a world first out there. I decided to hit the gym when Sporting was playing against Bodo. And I saw that early on the second half, they had a 2-0 lead. That smelled opportunity. The odds were 2.40 at the time. I decided to go with Sporting to qualify. I saw the stats. I occupied the machine in the gym, watching the game a bit. I had this huge line behind me. Who cares? And I saw Sporting firebowering, shooting, entering the box whenever they wanted to, with Trincao, with Nuno Santos from the left. Luis Suarez was a great target man in that game. So what I did, I stopped working out my upper body, and I went straight to the stationary bike. I loaded my stake. I won't disclose how much I bet. And I watched the entire second half, the rest of the second half. It was the last 30 minutes, plus the first 10 minutes of the extra time. Thank God they scored early. My calves feel thankful for the guy who scored the fourth goal. I don't remember who it is now. Also, we hit a winning pick, but Brad will say more. I would like your comment on
Yeah.
this and the other games.
Yeah, man, the sporting game was quite incredible. And I have the benefit of, joining other shows, and I think you were probably the only person who was kind of receptive to what bet I would have in that game. Every single show I would talk something different. So this one I had Luis Suarez to score a goal. You were receptive. Another show I had Luis Suarez 3+ shots on target. Hated it. Another one was Sporting Corners. They hated it. They all hit corners, goals, sporting team total, all of it. That game was the epitome of it is hard to play in Portugal. And Bodo were overmatched in terms of once Sporting got the momentum in that game, they were toast. But let's talk about some other games. Let's talk about, like you said, Chelsea
Yes.
never showing up. Over two legs, embarrassed at home. Manchester City, what a joke. They started that game so fine, and then Bernardo Silva decided to stick his arm out and decide, hey, I don't know what to do in this situation. Let me stick my arm out, get sent off, and we lose the game and the tie. Liverpool dominated Galatasaray. I felt that might have happened once I saw Galatasaray's lineup, and they just wanted to hang on in that. Probably the best match that Liverpool have played under Arne Slot since he's been there. I was just happy with how the games turned out. It was a pretty good week for me in terms of soccer betting, and when Champions League rolls around, it's when I lick my chops. But sometimes you walk into a pretty scary or dangerous situation. This was really nice. I was really aggressive, and I capitalized.
We also one of Liverpool's finest games under Arne Slot on Wednesday, and one of Liverpool's worst games under Arne Slot on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not Liverpool fan TV. I get it. I will hold my horses here. One other thing I wanted to say about the sporting game again, and how people wrongfully hated your picks, which I loved. I told you last week as well. Also followed one of yours. Is that I think that this picture of Bodo in Milan was just a parenthesis, on the whole Bodo away from Norway in European Cup playoffs. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we went into Bodo's games in last year's Europa League. Their away fixtures in Piraeus against Olympiacos, in Rome against Lazio, in Tottenham. You know, they just don't show up, and that's what they also did last Tuesday against Sporting. And we have a new, fresh set of pairs. I will quickly go over some early predictions. We will talk more about them next week. There's no way that Liverpool will advance against PSG. I know it's closer than many people might think, but this Liverpool side, the way they defend and the amount, of how much terrible Ibrahim Konate is at the moment. I'm not talking about Virgil van Dijk. This man should be a statue outside Anfield. But Konate is terrible. I don't know how this defensive duo can Liverpool sheet clean against Kvaratskhelia or Dembele or whoever. I also see Bayern advancing over Real Madrid, even though Real Madrid at the moment has maybe the best midfielder in the world. Federico Valverde is so underrated, man.
Yeah.
The things he did in the first game against City, I don't remember any other midfielder being first in distance covered, having so many interceptions, and scoring a hat trick at the same time. Nobody else in history. I'm not
So
talking about
good.
modern era football. Okay, Arsenal vs Sporting, I think it will be one-sided. Uh, although Arsenal started showing their loser skills yesterday
Yeah.
vs Man City. And I also see Atletico advancing against Barcelona once again. I'm not saying that it will be like the Copa del Rey semifinals. I don't say that we'll see a 4-0 first leg or something, but I think it's about Barcelona's defensive style. You know, they play too high up the pitch, and Ademola Lookman, we saw him
God.
yesterday in Madrid against Real Madrid as well. He's in form. Ademola Lookman, Griezmann, you know, who puts the pressure in the third quarter of the field. I think they can do some damage. What do you think about the quarters?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that this Barcelona fixture, I don't care if it's the first or the second or both. I'm taking both teams to score and over. One of them is going to be low scoring. We already know that. But I do think Atletico Madrid are just such a fun team. Barcelona, it's such a weird team because if you can't beat their high offside trap, then they actually get back in defensive formation really quick. But with just so much great transitional attacking ability from Atletico, I feel like that one's going to be wide open and either team can win that. Liverpool versus PSG, I think Liverpool will get undone. I think this is going to expose a lot of Liverpool's weaknesses, especially in that back line. And their Liverpool's inability to just create goals whenever they need them is going to cost them. I have Bayern beating Real Madrid. I'm really excited for this Bayern team. It's a really good one. And then I put a sneaky prediction on Sporting beating Arsenal. Don't think it's going to happen, but I think Sporting have proven now they've came back from a 3-goal aggregate loss at home, and they've also beat PSG 2-1 at home in Champions League to prove that they're a force to be reckoned when playing in Portugal. So if they can somehow survive in England 1-0, they have a legitimate chance, at least not a legitimate chance. Let's call it a puncher's chance. And that's better than no chance, right? When we're talking about a financial stake on a team.
If only they were a bit better in set pieces, which is Arsenal's strong point, you know. And talking about Arsenal, what an easy win I had yesterday in the AFL Cup final. What an easy win. Actually, it was like you said it. If I can have under one goals at halftime, I'll cash it. I'll hit it. Although Kepa tried to ruin my pick a bit. Crossbar saved me, but the way the game went, I think it was the under. The under was a very good pick. Okay, I see we spent much time in the Champions League, so it's time to quickly get into episode 16 with the 4 full breakdowns and the lightning round. I see, Brad Thomas, you're in mood, my friend. You have your World Cup USA shirt on. So hit the first one, please.
Yeah, got this shirt vintage. This is 1994
Or yes,
USA
for
World Cup shirt.
Alexi Lalas.
Yes, the ones for this season are really nice. So I'm gonna have to buy that. They're a little expensive, and I want to buy like 3 different teams. So we're gonna have to start saving up. Anyways, I digress. It is the World Cup playoffs, and we have Turkey versus Romania. I'm going to take Turkey, team total over 2, minus 120. And basically, what that means is if Turkey only scores 2, you get your stake back. If they score 3, you win. And if they score under 2, obviously, you lose. This Turkey team's really fun. It's a team that I think doesn't get enough credit for how dominant they are. And when you look at some of the matches that they've played, they're just consistently scoring goals, but scoring goals effectively. A lot of that's led by the talent of Kenan Yildiz. I think Yildiz shines more on this team than he does in Juventus because he has a freer role and he actually has players on his team who could effectively shoot with high quality, right? And that's going to be important in this match. This is going to be important in a do or die. And guys who I'm talking about shooting with high quality and willingness to shoot, Turkoglu is the first guy who comes to mind. Then you have a guy, we going from Yildiz to the next young gunner, the next young superstar on this Turkey team, Arda Güler. Arda Güler is a fantastic player who you're finally starting to see him come into his own for Real Madrid. Real Madrid, he was a part-time player, wasn't really having that much of impact. Now it's starting to come at the right time. Well, with Turkey, he was already an impact player, guy who can give you 70 really hard minutes. From a statistical standpoint, this is a team that has scored 2+ goals in 5 of their last 6 matches. And I will have to say this, right? Spain match, I don't think we should put too much thought process or too much weight onto it, because Spain didn't try very hard in that game, so it could have been a free 2-1s or 2 free goals. Also, Romania, it's hard to compare teams on how they're going to do statistically, but there are some worry signs from this Romania team. Conceding a goal to San Marino, they conceded 2 to Cyprus once, and then conceded 1 to them earlier in qualification. Then they conceded 3 to Bosnia, and I just feel like those are enough warning signs that this is going to be a competitive match. Especially, let's remember, this is a Turkey team that's averaging 2.2 goals in qualification. Yes, they're overachieving their XG at 1.48, but I still like them to score at least 2. And I'm going to put a little teaser in there. I'll have another pick from this game in the lightning round.
Gonna put the teaser in there, and I'll tell you that I'll say my opinion after a couple of picks. Hold it.
Hold it.
Also, I like the both teams to score here. I think that Turkey will concede 1. I'm gonna stay in the FIFA World Cup playoffs, which is pretty much the only thing going around in football during this week. But I'm going to the other side. I'm going to the intercontinental playoffs, where teams from various continents fight for a place in the World Cup. I'm going to Bolivia vs Suriname, a game that will be played in Mexico, in Estadio BBVA in Guadalajara. And we're having what I've written down as a battle of the Americas, South America vs North America. Winner advances to face Iraq next week. And whoever advances from the bracket goes to Group I, a very tough group of the World Cup that contains France, Senegal, and Norway, So practically, whoever advances from this bracket goes to the USA and Mexico for some fine tourism, and Canada, if you can join tourism in Canada. On the one side, we have Bolivia, which has always been a typical home team. A team that exploits the high altitude of 4,000 meters in El Alto, where they play all their crucial home games. They ended the South American CONMEBOL quali with 6 wins in total in 7th place. They had a fascinating 5-win, 2 draws, 2 losses record at home, and they had 8 losses away. Miguel Terceros, who plays for Santos, is their most dangerous player. He finished 2nd in the quals with 7 goals. Apart from that, and a couple of other Santos players, they don't have something significant. And they definitely don't have a stronger squad than Suriname. Suriname brought on Hentan Kate. You might know him from Ajax and Panathinaikos, where he served as a manager. He was also an assistant in Chelsea and Barcelona in their golden Jose Mourinho and Frank Rijkaard years. The majority of Surinamese players are in Europe, and this includes Jean-Paul Boetius, Geraldo Becker, who plays in Mainz, and a surprising 2 last-minute inclusions of Joel Pirro, Leeds United's own Joel Pirro, and Melairo Bogarde. To reach here, they advanced from 2 stages. They lost only to Guatemala, in those two stages. In the last fixture, which was pretty much an indifferent match, nothing was on the line. So I will keep it short. I will say no altitude, no fun for Bolivia. Suriname squad is way more experienced. I'm not saying that the team is more experienced. I'm talking about the players. Neither of the two teams have much experience on these levels. I'm going with Suriname to qualify. I think it will be from the regular time, but in order to cover myself, I'm taking the outsider, Suriname to qualify, 1.97 average odds.
What a journey it feels like we've been on. It feels like just yesterday when Bolivia played Brazil in the final World Cup qualification match, and Bolivia was like a plus 490 favorite playing at home. Brazil rotated, didn't care about that match, picked up the win. But since then, they haven't done much in their friendlies. And we know you got to take friendlies with a grain of salt. But I think Suriname gets this done, especially without Bolivia having that home field advantage, which is the best home field advantage in all of footy. I'm going to go to men's college basketball. And guys, this pains me to say it, but I hope if I lose this bet, the team I'm betting against wins outright. Alabama Crimson Tide, Michigan Wolverines, men's NCAA Sweet 16. Michigan minus 10 at minus 110. And before I get into the nitty gritty of what has happened recently, I just want to talk about what has happened this season. So typically, Alabama is like a top 5 team in KenPom ratings. They're not always the best defensive team, but what they lack in defense, they make up in offense. Their third offensive in KenPom rating this year, a daunting 60th. They're playing against a Michigan team who's first in the KenPom ratings. They are 6th offensive rating and 2nd defensive rating. So what we're going to have here is one of the best defenses in college basketball taking on one of the best offense in college basketball. For those who have been living under a rock or don't follow college basketball that much, Alabama's second best player has a drug problem, or at least the drug problem that gets him arrested. Don't want to say he's a drug addict, but I want to say his affinity for drugs are the reason he's not going to be available. He was arrested for having those and will be unavailable, most likely, for this game. They got by the first 2 games. They were down by double digits against Hofstra. Against Texas A&M, they were fantastic. Blew them out of the doors. But what I liked about that team was there was efforts from everyone on that team. But where this match becomes interesting and why I think Alabama cannot carry that over is because Alabama, where they've struggled so far this year, is against big teams who've dominated inside the paint, not just scoring, but on the glass. Alabama out-rebounded Texas A&M. Texas Tech. They out-rebounded them on the offensive boards as well. And the weirdest thing that Texas Tech did, they went small. Well, Alabama won't have that luxury against Michigan. Michigan has a 7-footer. They have a bunch of really good, talented big men, and they attack the glass really well. I think Michigan goes out to a really big number. And what I want to add to this is Alabama, typically when a team goes and shoots lights out like that, the very next game they have a dud from the field because you're always searching for that magic. Unfortunately, it was a great run for the Tide. They made the Sweet 16 with their second best player dealing with his legal troubles. But I think they get blown out by Michigan in this one. But I will say a caveat. Michigan has not been playing their best basketball. So if there's an upset, please let it be Alabama winning.
Yeah, I'm not the one who's following college basketball. I've been living under the rock, a rock. In this case, it just makes me so sad, when young college athletes have drug problems. I think maybe sometimes we're asking too much from them. Okay, you saw it as an opportunity. Our aim is to find opportunities. Uh, so I'm gonna listen to you on this one, and I'm gonna go back to the FIFA World Cup playoffs.
Okay.
I will also go to Turkey.
Yes.
but I'm not going to stay in the Turkey vs Romania game. Instead, where I saw the opportunity is the whole bracket. Qualifying playoffs, path C. At this at the moment I don't remember who in which group they qualify for. But I'm taking Turkey to win the whole thing at odds of 1.86. Pretty much you said it. You said it in your own analysis. They are a far superior team. Quarterfinalists of the last Euro. They knocked out a great Austria team in the round of 16 of that competition. With Çalhanoğlu, Kenan Yildiz, Arda Güler was also added. As you said, we saw him doing some incredible things with Real Madrid this year. Their group performance could not go any better. I guess the only better thing to do is to out-qualify Spain. That's almost impossible. They finished just 3 points behind Spain, though, which was an incredible performance. They are 25th at the moment in the FIFA ranks, and every opponent of theirs in this bracket is under 45th position. And of course, we're talking about Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo. Can't really say they're European titans. Their last 10, in their last 10, they had 7 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. That means they're coming red hot. They practically have no injury problems or suspension issues. So full force. Vincenzo Montella has done an incredible job, especially attacking wise. This is why I called for both teams to score in the game against Romania. They have scored 2+ goals in all of their last 7 wins. And to go a bit into the other 3 teams of the bracket, not really thinking that I should, though. We have Romania, who didn't even finish in top 2 of their group. They advanced through their Nations League rankings. And we have Slovakia and Kosovo, who put on some really good displays in the group qualification stage, especially Kosovo, who out-qualified Sweden and Slovenia. But I think that in the other semifinal, they are going to outpower and, drain each other of energy. I also see a very good under in Slovakia vs Kosovo. Whoever wins will come to face Turkey. Very tired. I don't know. Very, very, very outpowered. I don't see how Turkey loses the ticket to the World Cup, where they will also have some good chances of shining.
Whew. Listen, you're making me go add some more money because I already have a couple bets on them. Now I'm just gonna go add some more. That is
Stack it.
that is exciting. That is really exciting. I love it. I love it. I'm a big Turkey fan. This World Cup qualification playoffs.
Our neighbors.
Yes. Is it time for for lightning round for my favorite section? The quick hitters, 5 picks, one-liners, in and out. It is the lightning round. And I'm going to start this off. And I'm going to give a bonus pick as well because I think you should take both. Houston Open, Jake Knapp, top 20, plus 115. I also think you should take him to win it. Last year, I bet on the Houston Open and I bet Minwoo Lee. It was the same thought process where Minwoo Lee's playing really good golf. He can go out there, spray his driver wherever he wants. If he makes enough putts, he can win the tournament. Jake Knapp does precisely that. Yes, he's had a little hiccup coming off an injury, but he did get a week's rest. And I think at plus 115 to finish top 20 for a guy who's probably going to win the tournament or at least contend, I think that's a brilliant price for Mr. Jake Knapp.
I'm going back to the World Cup playoffs and I'm taking under 3.5 in New Caledonia vs Jamaica, 183 average odds. Well, Jamaica are just an 1.01 favorites. They have a team full of English league players like Leon Bailey or Ethan Pinnock from Brentford. It's New Caledonia, or should I say, Who Caledonia? Their first time on the stage. They have pretty much a squad of unknown players of lower tier French leagues. The only notable inclusion is Angelo Fulgini. He plays in Saudi Arabia. I think that Jamaica will choose a lower pace to preserve for the final, for a potential final against DR Congo. They have scored more than 2 goals in only 2 of their last 8, and both times were against Bermuda. So I expect a 2-0, 3-0 victory. Jamaica goes to face DR Congo.
Fun. I'm going back to the Houston Open, and I'm going to back Sahith Theegala at 80-1. Theegala is starting to play good golf, but once again, his biggest issue this season has been the driver. Well, we've seen time and time again winners of the Houston Open. It does not matter what their driver does. It does to some extent, but if you spray occasionally, you'll be fine. Theegala is really good at birdie fests as well. I think he can fill it up. And much like Jake Knapp, his putter is really good. So at 80-1, I think his price is slightly off. And I went ahead and I took him.
There would not be an upset forecast podcast without EuroLeague. I'm going to back Olympiacos with an 1.5 spread to cover, in 1.5 spread against Valencia at 1.88 odds. I know it's a derby for the second place, but something's not clicking for Valencia. They have 2 straight losses. They scored less than 18 both these games. They're not a top 5 offense anymore. They used to be. On the other side, the Olympiacos have the number 1 offensive rating. They have 4 wins in the last 5, and they also have a 7-point loss deficit to cover from the first game. I don't know if they will cover it, but they are going to win and solidify themselves in second place.
And I'm going back to the Turkey game as promised. I'm taking Turkey over 5.5 corners. This is a match where they absolutely have to get off on the front foot, can't mess around. It's a team that dominates corners so far this season. They're averaging 7 corners per contest. They've earned at least 5.5 corners in 75% of their matches. I think Romania is going to be a team that is not afraid to make this open, which I actually like more because it gives Turkey some of those longer runs in transition, which end up turning into crosses into the box, which often lead to corners. So that's over 5.5 corners for Turkey for me.
It seems like half our bankroll goes to Turkey. No pressure. Okay. So now we have the core 4, which are Turkey over 2 team total against Romania, Turkey to win the whole damn thing and qualify for the World Cups, Suriname to qualify against Bolivia and go to face Iraq, and Michigan to cover a 10-point spread against Alabama. And of course, the Rapid 5.
As in every week, we will track everything. That means the wins, the losses, the heartbreakers, all of it.
And since the show is made for you, we want you to spread the word. And after that, hit the comment section. Hit us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Find our verified sportsbook with the best average odds at bookmakers.bet. You will find all links in the episode description.
And remember, to bet a winner, you got to feel a winner. And to feel a winner, you got to be a winner.
Don't forget to bet responsibly.